Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to repair a Zaima lighter of this type here. Okay, I've already taken the cap off right here in my hand and bled the tank. First thing you want to do is take the spring mechanism off of this cap here. Okay, be careful when you take this stuff off. Kind of put your finger over it because this stuff has a tendency to fly off on you. Okay, and I'm not going to do an assemble job. I'm just going to show you how to repair it. Once we disassemble it, you'll be able to figure out how to get it back together. Now after you do that, next step is just get you a 3mm or whatever you have available to unscrew this here. Alright, this is what I call the burner valve, or pipe valve in this instance. And after that, everything just kind of pops out like this assembly. You don't really need to take the flint assembly out or anything else apart unless you want to clean it up really good. But in that case, you'll want to, take this spring assembly out for your flint first before you go any further. This particular lighter here has a Phillips screw in there. I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But anyway, I'm not going to zoom in on it because a lot of times I zoom in on stuff, I lose focus. We want to go ahead and loosen that up. I just got these little tweezers here. I get right in here, stick them in the slot of this valve assembly here, and I just kind of disassemble it, unscrew it until this valve comes completely out. Or gets loose enough so I can pull it out actually. No, it might be close there, let me see. Not quite. There we go. Alright. There's that part. Now, have the top part of this here assembly come out. See right there? That's going to come out because I've already cleaned this up and everything. But I'll tell you what, if this here, let me show you something. A lot of times when you build these guys, these things will be stuck together. I mean stuck together, and they've been in there so long, the only other option you have is to take this filler valve out, which I'll just go ahead and do. Let me get my tool for that. I'll use this one here. Like I said, a lot of times that internal valve assembly won't come out because it's just stuck in there from all the dirty butane, and I've had a heck of a time getting some of mine out, so don't get discouraged if it doesn't come out easy. Because sometimes you can just blow butane in this after you get the valve assembly out. In order to get this out here, this wick, you can just fill it with butane and the pressure will push it out. But if it doesn't, it's because it's stuck in there, so you're going to have to do a different process to getting that out of there. And that process is like taking this gas valve out, right, the filler valve out right here, and getting you something down in there where you'll be able to grab a hold of the wick and push down in there and keep poking down there until you can get it out, okay? Anyway, this lighter now is completely disassembled. Alright? Now, what you want to do is, this assembly right here on this lighter, these filters are usually gummed up on these lighters right here, okay? I mean to the point to where this top valve assembly is stuck. So you'll just have to pry this off. You don't have to get in this area. You don't have to dig out all the crud until you can pull that piece off. See that little metal backing plate? till you can pull that off, because don't try to force that off, because I'll tell you what, this backing plate I got on here isn't this on the back of this here pressure regulator isn't the original one, because I got in a big hurry and I broke the little brass piece off in the original one. But you know, I got this one here and it works just as good. All right, now this filter here might be a little thicker than you need, but it still works. Okay, you know, so just get you a lighter like I showed you and grab the filter, grab the pressure regulator. You can call this a filter or pressure regulator, whatever you want. But behind it, it's got these little, there's like two of these little cloth woven cotton claws in there. These things are usually not dirty, and I leave them alone unless they're absolutely dirty and gummy, which they won't be. Usually all the dirt and gum comes right up to the top where this filter is, to the point to where this top piece is stuck together. You'll actually have to sometimes just break that off. You got to be careful though, like I said. All right. So what you'll do is you'll clean everything up. Like I said, you'll get a 5x1.5 O-ring. The O-rings that come around, that come on this normally, they're round, but they're kind of square like a washer. Okay, but this is just a regular O-ring. It's a 5x1.5. So that's 5 millimeter diameter, or 5 millimeter width, 1.5 millimeter on each side of the cord here. Okay, I mean it's 3 and 2 millimeter in the middle. All right. Once you clean these off, then you want to make sure too that hole, a little bitty hole in here inside this, you want to make sure that's clean. Get that cleaned out. Okay, once you get your plate cleaned off, get your new filter in there, right, and put it in there. Okay, that's that right there. That's pretty much describes that. Now on this assembly here, watch this little spring. This little spring here, it's a little bit bigger rounder, but it's weaker. It's a weak spring, okay? What this spring does here, it pushes up on your valve. See in here? There's a little stopper, a little silicone stopper right inside there. Just you're going to have to grab you some some of these leather hole punches and punch out the size you need. I can't remember what size it is. It might be 2.5 millimeter, something like that. But you want it where it just kind of fits in there. You don't have to push down hard, but just if it fits snug. This thing ain't going to fall out. If it sticks in there real nice and easy, it's not going to fall out. There's always pressure on that anyway, because what this stopper does here, it meets the top of this piece here and stops that little hole like this. I think you might be able to figure it out just like that. Stops the gas from coming out that hole. All right. Now there's a little plunger in here. You might want to take it out and clean it just in case it's grimed up. It could be, it might not be. Most generally they're not. This little plunger, that's what I call this, is a plunger. Okay, it just fits in there like that. Okay, now see this other spring, it came out here and you probably didn't see it. But this spring here, right here, it fits on, it fits in here. Okay, this spring's got some more oomph to it. It's a little stronger. Okay, heavier wire. And that goes in there like that. Okay. And this little spring goes on the outside. Basically, how you see how that plunger here is spring operated. What that basically allows you to do is when you shut that lid and this part of this platform comes down, it'll come down and press against that stopper. But it gives you some, the stopper might hit before it actually comes all the way down, but that spring in there allows this here to travel and not bind up where it keeps the lid open. I think if you guys follow me. It's pretty easy once you take it apart. There's nothing to this, you know. And as far as O-rings for this, I can't remember the size on it. Let me see. Got my calipers here. I'm gonna guess it's probably around 9, maybe 9 millimeter. Yeah, 8 to 9. I just go 8. I just go 8 millimeter, and actually a little smaller than that. Maybe, yeah, 8 exterior would be plenty. Yeah, just go 8 exterior by a 1 millimeter diameter of your cord. Okay, so that'd be like an 8 by 1. All right. And what that basically means, if you got an 8 by 1, it's 8 inches. It's 8 millimeter, you know, across by 1, which you take that times 2, because you got this side and this side. So that makes 2. So you got 8. So that means you're going to have 6 millimeter internal hole on the O-ring. All right. Now these here, some of these come apart pretty good. All right. All right. Now this here, say once it comes apart, it's rebuildable. All right. So just pull these apart. You know, I've rebuilt this one. Let me push it out. I think I can get to it now. Let me get my better tweezers here. All right. Now, I'm thinking this O-ring here. Sometimes you can use an O-ring on here, okay, if you find one. All right, well, you take this out, and if yours is really dried up, you're just going to have to make a new one, unless you can find an O-ring that'll fit that size. A lot of times you can't, and you just got to get some more of these leather punches. You got to measure the outside diameter of the original O-ring that's in it, and then you're going to get inside, have to take the one off and measure the inside post, and you're going to cut you out the appropriate O-ring out of some silicone rubber. All right. Then you're just going to put everything back together, like, you know, like this. Stick it back in there. You got your spring in the bottom of this right here. Put that on and screw that. Now, sometimes if you make it, if your O-ring gets too thick, say for instance, sometimes this plunger won't go down enough. This one's fine. Won't go down enough to let gas in it, so you might have to loosen up on that a little bit or cut your O-ring thinner. Okay. So after you've cleaned everything up, it's just a matter of putting everything back together, which is pretty simple. What I basically do here is I start to feed this back down in the lighter. Just take that like that, okay? Feed it back down in there. What I do too is, before you push it all the way down in there, I think you might be able to see that. Drop that in there. Okay. Then take this top part of that valve and drop that on top, just like that. Then you get you know, one of them little wooden dowels you use for like shish kebab or something like that, you know, put meat on a stick and cut one down. That's what I use here. And push that all the way down. I don't know if you can see it, but you might be able to see the wick right there now. Okay? That's good. Alright. Now, once you're ready to assemble this valve, if you've got one of these, it's got this little brass tip on the end of it here. That's just a limiter, so your adjustment here doesn't keep rolling around. So what you want to do is make sure that that part's down. All right. Alright, now when you install these valves right here, always install them sideways. Alright, don't, if you put it upside down like that, your spring's going to pop out there and rolls all over the floor. Good chance you won't find it. So put it in sideways, like right there like that, and get it in there and screw that down. Now, and I screw it down to where it's not real. I don't like to snug it down. Give me a minute here, guys. I'm trying to do this stuff, and I got my head behind the camera here, so sometimes I can't see this. This ain't really the best tool for doing that, but being that I don't rebuild these very often, this will work, because otherwise I'll go make a specific tool for that. And okay, that stopped right there, so that's where I leave that part, just like that. This thing's still moving around though, but I'm not going to mess with tightening that yet. Okay, first thing we're going to do is stick the this back in. Now usually once I take them out and the O-ring is I got a little bit of, this is still kind of wet with some silicone grease I got on it, and I just kind of go over that O-ring a little bit, and it just makes the O-ring look wet. Maybe you can tell in there, I don't know. It kind of makes it look wet. That's just so it kind of seals it around there. These are real, as you can tell right now, these are real simple lighters to work on. And once you know the tricks on them, you know. One thing I forgot to mention too, on that bottom seat, you know, where the spring goes, this valve is just stuck in here, where the spring is on the bottom, and that little seat behind it, you know, the little rubber piece I told you to cut. Very important that if you stick a seat in there, a rubber seat, you get a razor blade and you cut that off flat with that brass seat. Okay, that brass part in there, because if you don't, your lighter is going to have an erratic flame to it. And I'll tell you what, I fought that for weeks on end, and I just one day I just kind of, you know, I just put the thing down and it sat there for weeks. And you know, sometimes thoughts come to your head, and I thought, well, you know what, everything's good on that. What's going on? I thought, you know, that I cut that rubber and it's a little jagged. Maybe I'll cut that off flush, because that, you know, that hanging past there might just make that butane run a little bit erratic. And when I cut that off, ran like a champ. Okay, that's it there. Okay, now what you do from here, throw some butane in her. See, you're going to have some air in that tank, guys, so you got to evacuate that air. Sometimes you got to do this a couple times too when you're done. See, now you got some butane coming out. I'll put a little more in there. If you get air in there, it might not operate right. You might have a little bit of erratic flame. Okay. Get you a little. Now I got it right here. Didn't need to get up in there. All right. Yeah, I got that valve shut off and not getting none. So what I'm going to do is crack this open little by little here, till I can get a flame. There we go. Alright. Now, and I'll check this here stopper. Bingo. Alright. Let's open this up a little more. See, when I open that up, how that flame gets bigger right there. Alright. Alright. So what I want to do, I think, you know, that's plenty of gas coming out of there. So, okay. So now I'm going to tighten this screw up. Actually, it's right to the right place. I can unscrew it. I can tighten it up. And I'll tell you what you want to do. You got that set on the maximum. You got that flame set on the maximum. Okay, so when you adjust that down, this wheel right here, you want it to go up to, you want to move this wheel up to the top here, because when you screw that down, this wheel here, this adjustment wheel, is going to want to come down with the lighter, because this valve's going down and this wheel's going to be screwed to it. So just go ahead and lift that up toward the top right there, body of the lighter. I think you can understand what I'm saying. Then just screw that on. Alright, now see what we got there? I'll show you here in a minute. Let me just light this again. Plenty right there. Now we're going to turn that down, see? Good to go. I'm just going to turn this off so I don't lose all of my gas. It might seep a little bit, but we're good right there. That's good. So what we want to do now is just put the lighter back together. So you're just going to stick that in there, and you find your hole. And what holds this basically on this plate right here is your burner valve. And you know, as far as it goes here, it's this pipe valve. Well, you put that on there, and you just get and screw that down. Now I put O-rings on this because I don't have washers on this, and when I tightened that down to where it was tight before, the opening for the pipe valve was instead of being out the front, it was behind here. So you can see right here it's pointing at you. So I'm just going to turn this a little bit more. Now that'll be pretty good right there. Let's give this a shot. Let's turn that up a little bit. Okay. See. Okay, now there's a little stopper valve right down there. That's what you need to poke to shut the lighter off. It seems to work good. I'm going to turn that flame down so I don't lose all of my gas. I'm going to put this back together. Pretty simple here. You just got a spring that goes inside this. Okay. You guys get any questions, you know, go ahead and, you know, email me if you want. You get lighters2018@gmail.com, you know. I'll check my email on that once in a while. Okay, now what I usually do to put that back is I get something like I had here and just push that in. Now, if you got it lined up right there anyway, I mean, this little pipe valve's a little bit, there we go. You got it down in there, and well, I believe that's it now. And what you want to do too is after you get done this far, you still got another test, all right? And that's to close the lid slowly. Yeah, make sure the gas is shutting off. Okay. Another thing I do too is I'll turn this valve wide open, because you'll hear it when you crack the lid open. You'll be able to hear when the gas. Let me put it up here. Maybe you can hear it. I got the valve open. You can hear the little psst. Right there. About the same it did last time. Yeah. It's opening up about right there, so you're good. All right. All right. Well, you guys, you know, that's pretty simple. There ain't much to it, But if you've never done it before, there's those little tips, you know, that you need to know, especially, you know, just cutting that, like I said, cutting that little seal off, that little stopper seal goes over the little hole in the valve. You're cutting that off flush with the brass piece that stopper's in, and cleaning out those valves and make sure all them holes is unplugged. And you know, make sure that when you put this back on, if yours, some of these don't have a screw on, they're just loose. But that's why I adjust it for the highest flame, because the reason I adjust it for the highest flame is because the turn it down goes this way, okay? Now I obviously can't adjust it on a low flame and leave that little stopper, because remember that little wheel here has a little brass peg on the bottom of it, so, and a screw on it. So otherwise, if yours doesn't have a screw, some of these just have like a little square peg they just kind of fit down on, and they don't have any kind of a screw or anything. So once you just put them down on there, they pretty well work, but they're loose. This one here isn't loose. That's why I like this, and this is smooth and operates good. But you know, they've probably this is number 273. Obviously, they've changed a few things to help cut down on manufacturing of them, you know. But anyway, guys, that's it. Doesn't take very many tools, you know, and the hardest part is if you got to cut them seals for this valve and stuff like that, and that's probably the hardest part right there. But you know, these lighters work great. I mean, look at it. Still probably got a little air in the tank here. You know, if your flame starts being erratic like that, it's still got some air in the tank, okay? So what you do, because, you know, what you do is you'll just fill it up, bleed it out, fill it up, try it, doesn't work, bleed it out again, fill it up. Then once you get it filled up, you know, pop your lid off, get the air out of the top until the butane starts coming out, and just top it off one more time. You just got to get the air out of the lighter, okay? That's it. All right, guys.